What if I told you that the concept of reincarnation, the idea that our soul lives many lives across time, may have once been part of the Bible itself? In this journey, we're going to explore forgotten histories, ancient beliefs, and hidden corners of Scripture. Could it be that a truth so deeply rooted in human spiritual traditions was deliberately removed from Christian doctrine? Let's open both mind and heart as we dive into this mystery. To begin understanding how reincarnation might be connected to early Christianity, we need to go back in time, long before the birth of Christ, to the ancient civilizations that first embraced this idea. In the temples of Egypt, priests taught that the soul didn't die, but traveled to the afterlife and could return again. The Egyptian Book of the Dead describes a spiritual journey after death, where the soul is judged, and may either enter the spiritual realms or be reborn in a new body. For them, reincarnation wasn't fantasy, it was a sacred truth. Death was not the end, but a gateway to transformation. Meanwhile, in India, by the banks of the Ganges, the Vedic texts laid the foundation of the concept of samsara, the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. According to these teachings, the soul continues its journey until it attains moksha, or spiritual liberation. Here, the law of karma plays a central role. Every action in life shapes the soul's future experiences. Each birth is an opportunity to grow, learn, and eventually transcend the material world. In ancient Greece, we see even more evidence. Pythagoras, known for his mathematical genius, taught that the soul is immortal and undergoes multiple incarnations as it seeks perfection. For him, reincarnation was a divine system of learning and purification. Plato also echoed this idea, writing that the soul evolves through many lifetimes, each offering a lesson toward truth and harmony. These weren't isolated beliefs. Across continents and cultures, the same pattern emerges: the soul returns, again and again, to learn, evolve, and ultimately become whole. With so many spiritual traditions accepting reincarnation as a core truth, the question arises, did early Christianity once believe it too? In the earliest days of Christianity, there was no single version of the faith. There was no official Bible, no fixed dogma. Early Christians were seekers. They explored spiritual questions deeply, without rigid rules. Some communities believed the soul existed long before this life and would continue after death in new forms. The teachings of Jesus were interpreted through diverse lenses. And among the most profound early thinkers was Origen of Alexandria, was a Christian philosopher and theologian, deeply influenced by the spiritual wisdom of Egypt, Greece, and the East. He believed that the soul was eternal, created long before birth, and destined to evolve through many lifetimes. In his major work, De Principiis, he described reincarnation as a divine system of purification. Each soul, he said, enters the world strengthened or weakened by its actions in previous lives. Reincarnation, to Origen, was not punishment but grace, a way for the soul to become one with God over time, learning from each life along the way. But as the Christian Church began to solidify its power, these diverse spiritual ideas became threats to institutional control. In the 6th century, a pivotal moment arrived: the Second Council of Constantinople. Organized under the rule of Emperor Justinian and Empress Theodora, Justinian sought to unify Christianity under a single doctrine, not just for religious reasons, but to maintain order and power across the Roman Empire. The belief in reincarnation challenged this control. If people believed they had more than one life to achieve salvation, they might not feel pressured to submit to the Church's authority in this one. Reincarnation suggested a soul could evolve without clerical intervention, directly threatening the Church's influence. Theodora, too, reportedly had personal fears about reincarnation, shaped by her difficult early life and past. Together, they pushed for the doctrine to be declared heresy. Despite opposition, the council eventually condemned Origen's teachings, and with them, the belief in reincarnation. It was erased from official Christianity, and those who continued to speak of it faced excommunication. From that point on, reincarnation was no longer part of Christian dogma, not because it lacked spiritual merit, but because it conflicted with political power. Still, traces of reincarnation remain in the Bible, subtle but powerful. In Matthew 17:10-13, Jesus tells his disciples that Elijah has already returned, referring to John the Baptist. This implies a form of spiritual return, if not outright reincarnation. For many early Christians, this was not surprising. It matched their worldview. Another passage in John 9 shows the disciples asking Jesus, "Who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Their question assumes the man could have sinned before birth, pointing toward a belief in past lives. Jesus doesn't reject the idea, but reframes the situation as a spiritual opportunity. And in John 3, when Jesus speaks of being born again, his words hint at a deeper mystery, not just spiritual rebirth, but perhaps a return of the soul for continued growth. So if reincarnation was once part of Christianity, what does it mean for us today? In modern times, this ancient belief is reawakening. In a world that often feels rushed and fragmented, reincarnation offers a perspective of patience, meaning, and deep personal responsibility. It tells us we're not here by chance, and that every life, every challenge, serves a purpose in the soul's long journey. Unlike the traditional idea of heaven or hell as permanent destinations, reincarnation offers a more compassionate view that growth takes time, and the soul is given many chances to evolve. Eastern traditions, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism, kept this belief alive. Teachers like the Dalai Lama, Swami Vivekananda, and thinkers like Alan Watts brought these ideas to the West, where they resonated with many seekers. The laws of karma and rebirth emphasize accountability, purpose, and spiritual awakening. Even in modern psychology, reincarnation has gained attention. Dr. Ian Stevenson studied thousands of children who remembered past lives, some describing names, places, and people they had no way of knowing. Psychiatrists like Brian Weiss used past life regression to help patients heal emotional wounds that seemed to originate in other lifetimes. Reincarnation, then, is no longer just a religious idea. It's a spiritual philosophy, a healing tool, and a lens through which to understand human experience. Whether or not it was erased from the Bible, it continues to live in the hearts of people across the world. In the end, whether the soul reincarnates or not, what truly matters is how we live this life with compassion, love, wisdom, and purpose. Whether we have one life or many, the journey of the soul is sacred. Thank you for watching.